Bobbbaaaay, and we back. Welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, today on the show we have Carter Reeves. Carter, it is dope to have you on here.
Thank you, Bobbbaaaay, for having me.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing that correctly?
You are pronouncing it right.
Okay,
it's more of like a Bobbbaaaay. You gotta like kind of hurt a little bit, wiggle it up a little bit.
Got it.
Super excited to have you on here because, like I had just told you, I think back to like my freshman year of freshman year of college, and we were bumping the Bright Side heavily. And that was after I kind of really started paying attention to your guys' music with Air. When you guys have released, I think it was The Reach, and then we did that show with you, Dylan, back in Northampton, Mass.
Where was that? Iron Horse?
Iron Horse Music Group, yep. And after that, I paid attention to you guys, and it has been a roller coaster to see what you guys were able to do in 6 years.
Yeah.
And I mean,
fact.
Talking to you, I mean, that is like I don't need to preach the choir, but it's amazing to see somebody who was able to really take that passion and fully run with it.
Yeah, thank you.
Who is Carter Reeves today, and how young is he?
How young?
Yeah.
Oh, young at heart, baby.
Young at heart.
I'm actually low-key an old soul. You know, look at me in this fucking
got the robe on, everything.
Jacket robe. Carter Reeves today. I'm trying to find what's good, man. And whether that's music or that's the mindfulness, I'm just trying to like get shit right.
Yeah.
And do it all right. So I'm just exploring, trying new shit. Musically, for sure.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of different styles of music. Trying to get influence from like random stuff. So I'm just focusing on whatever the next step is, trying to obviously make this solo project work, which is the focus. I know it will. It's just, like I said, finding the time, finding it right, and doing it where I'm like comfortable and happy about it.
And you're in a great headspace. I mean, in this new space in LA. I mean, this is just the lighting, the energy out here in LA. I would imagine this has got to definitely help you to kind of figure
100%.
out where you need to be, the headspace wise.
Yeah,
and
I definitely miss the hustle and bustle in New York. That kept me like always with like a fire under my ass.
Yeah.
LA, I think I mean, how many times have people done LA versus New York? I mean, we could go on this for
That's
hours.
a whole nother podcast.
But no, literally, you know, I definitely miss like kind of that fire under my ass like that. But at the same time, it's you know, it's second to none.
Yeah.
I mean, like I had always been told, bro, like you got to be out in LA. You got to be out in LA. Like I fucking dress like it.
You
fit. Act like it. I love the ocean. Like so.
So take me back to the days growing up in the suburbs of Boston. You grew up in Wayland.
Yep.
What was life like for you?
Life was pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I had some struggles that I didn't have and like all that stuff. I was very fortunate. And I'm super grateful for like the stable upbringing I had.
Yeah.
2 older brothers, parents are still together, you know, comfortable home, surrounded by like really great friends and all that, you know, pretty classic. So just kind of like made my way around Boston, you know, as a kid, and Wayland, obviously suburbs.
It's perfect because Wayland is outside the city. You can really grow up, ride your bike around the block, and not have to worry about a million cars zipping by, a bunch of massholes drivers.
I do remember though parents like starting to get like helicopter parents started to become a thing. Like as I was growing up, parents started like freaking out about, you know, like letting their kids walk home from school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, and like, I was always thankful that like I live in a town where like, you know, just like walk home,
you're fine.
like,
Nobody's
walk
gonna,
here, walk there, like do whatever. We were definitely just like little Kachituit rats.
Yeah.
We would just,
everybody
like,
knows each other. It's
there's
Carter walking back from class or back
like
from
he
school.
must be coming home from Angelo's house, going over here, doing this, doing that. So
everyone was keeping tabs.
Yeah.
What was one of the biggest struggles you had as a kid?
Damn, that's a tough question. I think was probably like, was trying, not trying to fit in, but trying to know where I fit in. You know what I mean? Because like I had like my best friend to this day, like she wasn't necessarily in like the popular kids group. And then like I was obviously like with, you know, my other best friends who were like playing sports and stuff. And so I definitely had trouble knowing exactly what it was that I wanted to do. But I mean, that's what being like
a kid
12 is about.
Yeah.
But like I was in chorus, but I was like really self-conscious about that. And like, you know, I kind of wanted to be in like some plays and stuff, but like I wouldn't do that to myself but like looking back, I should have fucking done that because you do what you want to do. So I don't know. I definitely had trouble balancing like passion with like social construct of like
I think we all go through that phase of not wanting to push ourselves to to get in front of people, especially like that. That might be something you're like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny now realizing, like, looking back and being like, shit, like all the classes and like opportunities I could have taken in high school, like I should have. Music workshop, music theory, like these are all things that were like just electives. Like I could have just taken those classes if I wanted to. But yeah, you know, that's what I'm doing now. Just trying to like learn all that shit. But you know, like I said, I'm very like lucky and honored that like I didn't really have anything too tough going on in my life growing up.
But you were able to kind of get that taste of music and dibble dabble around, not knowing that where it was actually going to take you, but there was still that trial of maybe chorus or maybe try something else.
Yeah, there's definitely like a parental force going on there. Like my mom made me play piano. I hated it. Just like all that stuff.
And you didn't want to do it?
Yeah, I mean, like I was allowed to stop, but she was like, I mean, it was like,
was it more of like she wanted you to like try different, pushing you to try different things?
Yeah, I mean, it was totally in good.
You need to learn the piano. It was like, you're not leaving your room until you master this craft.
No, it wasn't like she played and she was like sitting next to me, like cracking, like flogging me as like I was fucking up scales. No, nothing like that. But no, it was obviously from a good place, and like it was also like I want you to do a year of chorus or like choir or whatever it was. Which, like, looking back on it, like, I wish I had stuck with. But, like, you know, when you're in 6th grade, 7th grade, you obviously reject that stuff. And then you look back on it, like, now, like I'm saying, and it's just like, damn, I would have been fucking crud. Like, I mean, and obviously no regrets ever. But, like, it would be interesting to see what air could have been had I been, like, so much more focused on music in a younger age. But, I mean,
still did pretty well.
Yeah,
still did pretty well. I can't.
I think also that lack of knowledge was super helpful.
Yeah.
Like, because
it's the unknown.
Right.
You're not trained to just follow this certain path. If you had learned some things growing up with the music that you need to do it this way, that way, you're experimenting when you get a little bit older. It's like
exactly, and we'll get to that later on because that's like more
in depth,
more now where we're at. But yeah,
thinking back, is there a moment that you're most proud of about your childhood, or something that at least you'll never forget?
I think not forgetting something and being proud of is definitely different for me, at least. Moment I'll never forget is the first time I caught a wave. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like that, it's like one of those, like, first time you smoke weed, like one of those just like out of body experiences where what the fuck is going on? I was in Rhode Island with my best friends. He was like, and his family was like, come down, like we'll do a surf lesson. And I was like, you know, whatever, sure. And then I just remember catching a wave and being like, whatever that was, like I want to do that always. So yeah, I'm definitely like that also I think definitely instilled like dedication to a passion, because growing up outside of Boston, you're not able to surf like that often. It's all dependent on the weather and storms and waves and all this stuff. And obviously, like, you know, I'm at least an hour drive to the beach from where I grew up, but my parents, like, we grew up going up to Maine too. So
what part?
Just south of Portland.
I used to go to Wells Beach every year.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So very similar.
Yeah, in Biddeford. Maine sucks though, guys. Don't go to Maine. You never want to go to Maine.
Yeah, never gonna live there. I know exactly where to go looking if Carter goes off the radar. I'm like, yo, he's up somewhere in Maine. He's got to be out.
It's our little secret.
He's got to be out there.
Yeah, but that like definitely was the first thing where like I discovered that I liked it and I wanted to do it. And so I went out of my way to make it for me, and like I actually worked toward something that I enjoyed doing. So like that was definitely one of the first hobbies of mine where I was like, this is something where
that passion too seems like such a mindfulness type of passion, because you're out in the ocean, you're kind of by yourself,
right.
The waves, the sun. I mean,
yeah, It's, I mean, like, and
it's just you it's just you against yourself. Can I get on this wave? Can I surf?
And it's a force of nature. Like, you are powerless to it. It's going to do whatever it's going to do, regardless of if you're in Montana or like wherever you're at, that's still happening.
Yeah.
It's happening right now, you know, like, and it's cool because you're just there for that moment. Like, you're taking from just that moment, and like, whereas it's just like, that's just what nature does.
That's absolutely beautiful.
It's cool. Yeah. So, I mean, that was definitely the first time I was like, okay, here's something that I decided that I liked. Let's
keep pushing.
Yeah.
Aside from your parents obviously influencing you to who you are today, was there any other role models?
Yeah. I mean, and I think so much of what I owe to like my positive outlook on life and being in my eyes, like a pretty stable person is my two older brothers.
Yeah.
You know, I have two older brothers. Two
big,
people.
Big age difference or no?
So I'm 24. Oldest brother is 30.
Okay.
And 28. So, yeah, I mean, like I was definitely younger. I mean, I was at a young age when like my oldest brother went off to college and stuff. But it's cool. You have two humans that you're connected to in a weird way that have done life and are doing life, you know, years ahead of you, so that you can learn everything that they, you know, learn.
You see things like when they're getting their license, you're
right,
I don't even
and
know,
you're
10,
used
12
to that.
years old.
And I think what I also can owe so much of like, you know, my like comfortableness to like in the world and in new social settings and is like they'd have their friends over and stuff like that. So I'd be getting picked on by like, you know, 16-year-olds when I'm 8 years old, and like, you got to learn to let that shit roll off your back. You got to learn to fight back. You got to learn to laugh. You got to learn to like make jokes about yourself. So I think like hands down, like those having two older brothers.
Oh, they probably were just knocking on you for anything and anything.
Oh yeah, I got
for
whomped.
everything and anything. Yeah,
I got whomped daily, but like, you know,
it's all fun and games.
Good
I mean, looking back
whomping.
on it, it's nothing bad. So, kind of getting into air, what
Yeah.
first inspired you to pick up a guitar? 'Cause you shred. That's a nice guitar you got up there. I don't know what it is, but it looks dope.
Disclaimer: that's Michael Trublad's guitar.
Oh.
No, it's cool. I mean, I play it, but that was the guitar that David played for like 95% of Air's career.
Wow, okay.
So that is a fucking legendary guitar.
That should be on like a case or something.
So it's an actual, or it's like an original 1960s Strat. I think it was like 69 or something, like glory days, Fender Stratocaster, American made. Like, guitar heads see that shit and they like freak out. David too, every time he sees it, he's just like, he's like salty that it's
back.
He's salty that it's at our crib and not at his.
it.
But I mean, so Mike got it from his uncle before he passed and gave the guitar to Mike. And then Mike, you know, never really like picked it up. And then so Mike said, I just have this like unbelievable guitar just sitting in a closet. So he gave it to Dave or he you know, he's letting Dave use it because it was popping. And then after Air split up, Mike wanted the guitar back just because it was like, well, it's not like, it's still like something that means a lot to me.
Absolutely.
So then it was sitting under Mike's bed for the past couple years. And then when we moved in together, I was like, yeah. So
let me pick that back up, please.
I have like a really shitty Mexican Strat that's like, was built in like 2006. Like, can I play that? And so, yeah.
We're
so
roommates now, bro. Like, you know, we share things.
Like,
it's not a big deal. I'm not going anywhere with it. You can have it back whenever you want.
But it's sort of like, I actually wouldn't even consider myself a guitarist. I know my way around and I can definitely play, you know, like a good rhythm and four chords, but like what I'm learning now is like trying to actually like get the fundamentals.
I thought you've been shredding since out the womb or something like that. That's
no. I mean, I've always played guitar, always screwed around, but I only just started taking it seriously. But my neighbor gave the family an acoustic guitar when I was probably 10, and then so I was like looking up tabs. You know, I had like I had MySpace up, and I had my AIM up, and then I had like Neo guitar tabs up, and then so I was like learning that shit in like, you know, 2008, 2009. Yeah, I think rap is what started music for me. Because in like 8th grade, my friends and I would all just get together in my friend's basement, and Dave would produce beats. It was fucking great. Like Dave would produce beats. We used to record directly from like a keyboard that has the speakers. Mm-hmm. We would hold the laptop up to the speakers of the keyboard and play, like a real basic, like Dre sounding, like, not calling Dre basic, but like, you know what I mean? Just some piano, like super simple. And then we would all just try and like out rap each other, but on some like really stupid shit. So I think that kind of like started the whole thing for me.
And you guys started to form Air. It was junior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Your band had broke up.
Yeah.
You guys decided we're gonna make something together. What was like the game plan?
No game plan
at all.
And that's
it's
the
just
best
we're gonna start
game
making.
plan.
We're just gonna come together and start making music.
Yeah, it's cool how it started. So Dave was always like the blood and sweat of music. Like he was like every day thinking about it. And I now I like the fact that he was so driven at a young age for that shit. I didn't I was much more focused on smoking weed and like trying to get laid. But like he was like,
well, the honesty.
Yeah,
It's only honest on this podcast.
Yeah,
I appreciate the honesty.
It's definitely. But he was like so focused on that shit, and so it was a 4-piece band, and like our bassist kind of started listening to Daft Punk, and then our guitarist was listening to like a lot of like Brand New and like Avenged Sevenfold, and Dave and I started listening a lot to rap. So naturally, it kind of just like the influences weren't all there. No. The music stopped being cohesive. What brought us together was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because like we all could agree that they were the fucking goats, and they are. But then we kind of like all started to grow up and spread out. So I actually lived in Costa Rica for 8 months of my junior year of high school.
That's dope. Was it like a study abroad type program?
And that was like another kind of like parents like throw you in the deep end trying to teach you how to swim kind of thing. Mm-hmm. They were like, we want you to go do an abroad program. We don't care if you don't want to go, but like you're gonna go and you're gonna like it. That sounds so funny. No, but like
you have to put your kids sometimes in that environment.
Right, like eventually,
figure it out.
Even if you don't like it at the time, like you will realize at a certain point like the value in this. So they were like, yeah, you can obviously choose what country, or like you were able to choose like 5 countries with the program, and then they'll place you in one of your priority ones. Mm-hmm. So I chose Costa Rica because I was like, oh, I'll live on the beach. I'll fucking get to surf every day. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be amazing. Like, And so they put me in the city, which is like, 4 hours from the beach. And like, I went to the beach like twice, which is cool. No, I mean, like, once again, wouldn't trade the experience for the world. But either way, so Dave was getting like a much more hands-on role in the band because, like I said, he was taking that shit so much more seriously than any of the 3 of us were. So he would be producing song ideas like on his laptop, without the band. And then he'd be sending them to me in Costa Rica to write songs over them and write lyrics.
Wow.
And then I would be recording verses and singing on them like in my bedroom in Costa Rica, and then send it back, and then he'd play it for the band, and then we'd talk about it, and then we'd edit them. That's and like da-da-da. But you could tell that the band, like the 2 other guys, definitely felt it was kind of getting away from them in the sense of it was just like, all right, so if Dave's like writing the music and Carter's writing, like what are we
even doing
at this point? So that workflow is definitely how Air spawned. And then so, yeah, we band split up, and then it was like junior year of high school, and Dave and I were just still like, well, this clearly works, but the center of the band is no longer, instruments in a room. It's now a laptop. So we took it from there, and the game plan was no plan.
Yeah.
I remember reaching out to Max Greninger, who is my manager now and was Air's manager, a fellow guy from Wayland. Mm-hmm. And who went to Syracuse for music management. So this was another dude who was like, 10 years old and knew exactly what he wanted to do. Something that like I was so like I never understood that. But it's great. And so he was a manager and he wrote for this blog. Hold My Coat. I'm sorry, he had a music blog, and these were the golden days of music blogs.
Blogs, huge.
Good music all day, you know, like
you got on there.
Sunset in the rear view.
You were out of here. You were out of here.
Sunset in the rear view, like it was like the golden era of music blogs. And so I remember sending it to him, just like we made an EP, the Medina EP. It was 5 songs. They're rad, but like, and we sent it to him just like, hey, like, can you post this to your blog? We didn't know what blogs were. We just knew that like the internet was, and Facebook was, and YouTube was where like music was moving. So we sent it to him, and then he was like, yo, like, I don't say, like, I'm not just like trying to say shit to you guys, but like, this is really good. There's a lot of potential here. Can I be your manager too? And like, it was so funny because we invited him to my house, and Dave, Max,
he was still living in Wayland at the time, or he was just from Wayland?
He was a freshman at Syracuse.
Okay. So
it was actually the summer. It was August of 2010, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And so he sat down, and I remember my parents being home and being like, oh, this is cute. Like, little manager coming in for the little band. Like super patronizing, condescending. But we were like, yeah, like, and my parents like looked over the contract. I remember
so it was official. You guys got this in pen and paper, and
we worked together for like a couple months, and then he was like, all right, well, like, I've seen it happen before. Like, kids, have their friend who manage, and then they blow up, and then they blow them off. So we got it in pen and paper, yeah, a couple years later, or like a couple months later, but definitely the parents were like, oh, this is cute, this is cool, until senior year of high school, where like, South Carolina was our first frat show, but USC flew us out, paid for room and board, paid us for the show. They started seeing money, they started seeing fans. Like, that was the Middle East days when we were playing shows at the Middle East, and like we opened for Mac Miller and like all this stuff where it really was starting to work. And then, yeah, so I just remember like that was definitely the time where like
you started
realizing that this could be
this was senior year of high school.
Yeah, so I remember having to go into the principal's office and look at the principal and sit down and be like, hi, can we skip Thursday and Friday because we have a Thursday night show. We got booked for a Thursday night show in South Carolina. And he was a real cool dude and like very supportive of it, but like, he had to like kind of put on the part. So he looks at us, he goes, so you want me to tell my 18-year-old students that they can skip high school to go to a fraternity party where there's going to be drinking, drugs, and girls to play music for them? And he's like, so much of me wants to say no because that is just so wrong. But then like he kind of like would wink and be like, yeah, like
go do it.
That's life. Like, go have fun. So yeah, shout out to, and back to like the like, it was a really good ride in the sense of like, it just kind of like all fell into place at the perfect time where everything was just like one thing after the other led to the other.
Dude, my senior year of high school, I'm sitting there thinking about just like going to college and just shooting the shit, and you're over here getting flown out to play shows, and you're seeing fans that are like dedicated to you at 18 years old.
It was great.
That's like a dream come true. Like,
yeah,
to even think about it.
It was really cool. Actually, my parents were like, that's fine, but my oldest brother like came to chaperone, and like, he was what, like, 21 at the time.
He was having a good time.
Good chaperone. I remember we were playing at the show, and he was standing side stage, and it was in South Carolina at this, in 5 Points area. Any of you USC people listening, you know it. And there were a bunch of cute girls on the side of the stage talking to my brother, and he thought he was flexing for us. So he was like, yeah, like, they got pulled out of high school for this show. Like, he thought he was flexing for us because like that. I mean, that's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. But then they were literally like, these are high schoolers, and they fucking left. And
of course.
Like, ooh, damn.
Yeah. When you're in college and you're looking at high school, that's such a big gap of an age. You're like, oh, I'm too good for them. Like, I'm in college now. Like, step it up.
Precisely. Yeah. But hey, what can you do?
So as time went, FAM, the Fresh Air movement,
yes,
it got huge. I mean, it just continued to grow. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're looking at the Bright Side, Strangers EP self-titled album, which ended up hitting 26 on Billboard.
I didn't know that.
How did you guys build this genuine following? I mean, did you guys just keep pumping out what you thought was great music, and it kind of came? Were you guys making sure the fans felt the love?
Yeah. I would say it was a couple things. It was definitely like, I mean, first and foremost, touring. Like touring, always touring, forever. That's one where artists make their money and will continue to make their money. But it's touring. It's going and playing a college town, even if a frat doesn't want you there, or like it's not. You're not waiting for someone to reach out and then book you. Like you're just there anyway, and maybe you'll get 10, 15 people there. But then one of those kids goes back to the frat house, bumps a couple of the songs, and then they want you to come play next spring and give you $10,000. It's like, wow, well that's the fucking game changer. So touring is always it, and like, it's cool. I don't know. Looking back on it, like I forget. I look at moments like Firefly, which we played in front of, like, I don't know, I think it was like 30,000 people, like most of whom were like actually paying attention to our set and were there to see us, which is just like mind blowing.
That's a lot of people.
But then like truly just like any band in any place, like we played in front of 12 people in a smoky bar in Satellite Beach, Florida, with people playing pool and like 30-year-old fucking weird ass women, like where for us, like being 18, you're just like obviously it's easy to be discouraged by that. You're like, damn, like there's literally no one out there. But looking back on that now, it's just like I can play any show now. Like from that moment on, you can do like any show.
And you think back to when you were a kid and you didn't want to get on stage or
right.
in front of people. Now you're playing in front of 30,000 people.
Right. So yeah, I think touring hands down, because that's also and that also speaks to now, because I haven't been touring at all recently, and I think that's a huge problem for me, and I'm working to change that. But people see my character when I'm on stage way better than like, I'm not the dude who's gonna have fucking Snapchat on my face every hour of the day, like this and that. Like I don't have like Snapchat confessionals like that. I think it's really good to have, and I do from time to time. But like touring is where you see me in my element, having fun, and so it builds this connection where it's just like, damn, I had so much fun because he was having so much fun. And then that's how you build like the super fans, and the super fans are everything, because they'll buy 6 shirts. They'll buy shirts for their cousin who doesn't even listen to you, but like, they'll be there early. You can hang out with them before the set because, they've been in line for 7 hours, and like, they just want to say what up. They just want to like, feel a part of that fresh air movement.
It's like anybody can go in a room and record a song,
right?
But can they deliver a full engagement show?
And can you then connect with these people who connect with you so heavily?
Yeah. They know so much about you,
right?
You have to show them
to
some
give
type
that
of love.
back I mean, I've watched it. I've just watched, like, to this day, like, there are still, I can name 10 fans off the top of my head right now who have been there since day one, like, and maybe didn't start as super fans, but like after good experiences with us and being friendly and nice, like slowly kind of got on board, and then like really kind of started coming. And then they, I have friends who, and I consider them friends, like, who've been to 30 air shows and have been to every Carter Reeves show. And it's just like, yo, I've only played like 9 shows, and like, y'all have been to half of them. Like, this is crazy. So I think touring is it, because you're there face to face in the flesh. You're not like, you're not hashtagging like Denver rocks. Like, no, you're literally in Denver spending your time there. Yeah. And I remember when I was a little kid, I didn't understand the concept of what a celebrity was. When I was like super young, like, cause it's obviously a silly thing to think of now, but I thought that and specifically Nomar Garciaparra.
Shout out to Nomar.
Yeah, Nomar.
Red Sox legend.
Specifically Nomar. I thought that because people would see, like, people used to at Fenway, they'd stick like balls and like hats and stuff under the fence where the players' parking lot was, and they would take it and then sign it and then give it back to you. I thought that they were robots. because I thought there's no way like Nomar has the time for this. There's no way that like Nomar would be here doing this. Like there's no way that these people are actually here like in the flesh. And so obviously that's silly because they're just humans like everyone else. But that concept to me, I think is super powerful in the sense of it's like, if you get like, you know, so much of getting somewhere is like really logistical. Like you get on that plane, your plane gets delayed, you're here, like it's raining, you have to rent a car, you got people bitching, you're sick, this is happening, this is that, but you're still at the show, you're still there. Like you obviously care about it. And if people can see that and they're like, damn, like that's they're here right now. Like you can see them on Snapchat, you can see them partying, you can see them doing this and doing that, but like wherever, whatever happening in the world, like right now we are here together and like that's what he's doing. So I think Tour Forever will be that just because it's so powerful to like share time with people.
And it's where you're comfortable. I know you're saying like the whole, you know, not wanting to get, not caring for Snapchat or not doing all these live things.
Right.
There's so much difference of being in person. I mean, that's how I've been with this podcast. I will never do a podcast over the phone because there's just an energy to, there's nothing that technology, even this whole virtual reality world that we might be going into, I understand it feels as if you're there, but touch, feel like this, you know, there's an energy to actually seeing somebody, especially music, performing. I mean, that's really where I grow a lot of respect more for an artist is when I can see their stage performance. I'm like, yo, this guy really, you can tell when somebody has put in the time to learn their craft and then somebody just kind of show up and grab a mic and, hey, what's up? Singing along. And so it's, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, so I definitely like owe it to touring. I think is just huge, and it's just like relentless touring too. Where like you
guys just kept going and going.
Yeah,
and going.
You want to go home. You're tired. You're paying rent for an apartment you're never at. Like all that shit. But that's what moves the needle. That's what gets people on board. So. Yeah.
So we ended up getting to around. It was I think May 2016. You and David had mutually agreed. Let's stop there. We need to go on separate paths to figure out our own thing, which makes sense. At 18, you guys start hitting this hard. You do this for quite some time, and you get to a point where you want to go and experience something. He might want to do something different. Thinking back on all this, what has been the most memorable or inspiring part of that journey with Air?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta put it on two specific shows that like maybe even three, but just like I mean there's obviously so many pieces of that like anyone who's been up and down or whatever will tell you is like it never really hit you, it never really hit me, whatever. But there are three standout moments where I was just like, this is something else. Like, this is fucking crazy. And that would be Firefly in Dover, Delaware, which was like 2014. I'm looking at the poster behind you because I have it up and I'm like trying to. Fire. Yeah, 2014, June 19th to 22nd. But like, that moment looking out and not only, you know, it was just a sea of people. Like, insane, and everyone was singing the words, so like that is a moment where it's just like holy shit. And Music Midtown in Atlanta was the same thing. I think it was about the same amount of people. I wish I had that picture. Maybe pull that picture up and show it at some point. I'll send it to you. It's just a fucking sea of people, and like that when you're like damn, out of all the people on this lineup right now, like this many people came to see us, and like those people in the back were literally a speck this big. Like you're this tiny little ant, like and you want to catch a glimpse of it. It's just crazy. Some like real rock star shit that like I definitely didn't think.
Even touring Europe too. I mean, to me, if you're able to take your music and go to another country, and I don't care if 5 people are there. The fact that you are even making that leap because it makes sense from a growth standpoint. That was surreal too. And we did well there. Like we sold out a venue in London, like 150 people. We did, you know, like 500 people in Frankfurt, Germany. And it's just like that is nutty. Like that's crazy. So yeah, I mean, just like moments like that, man, that like, I guess
it's weird. Easy to look past, but impossible to forget.
Yeah.
So
it's absolutely beautiful. Well, let's get into the Carter Reeves today.
Let's do it.
The new man, refresh button. Yeah. Starting at the ground floor, new music, new everything.
Yeah.
How has it been, like hitting that refresh button and kind of starting something brand new?
Good, great. It's funny, you know, like I didn't have the expectations of like, oh, I'm gonna put out a couple songs and be a superstar like this, because that never works out when you become a solo act. Like, you know, you are starting from scratch again. Yeah, you are fortunate that you have a platform, you have fans. You know, I have X amount of followers and to start from. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, no one, you know, most people don't give a shit.
No, they hear air and that's what they want to hear.
Right.
You could tell them I'm now Carter Reeves and they're like, all right, cool.
Right.
We want air. That's all we're going to listen to.
And it's even funny too, because I played a show in April, and I was like meeting people after the show, and a girl came up to me and she goes, you should collab with this band Air. You guys sound so similar. And I was like, yo, like that's me, like one half of me. And she was just like, no, like I don't believe you. And like she like pulled up the Instagram. I was like, yeah, that's me. Shit was funny. But yeah, I mean, so I've been clearly very quiet since June. When is it? It's almost the end of October.
Yep.
So I've been very quiet since June. So I think it's interesting because in the singles game, like where you're putting out singles opposed to like albums, mm-hmm. you go through your sophomore slump or whatever it is, that sophomore album crisis where like you don't know if you can follow up the second with the first kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You go through that at random times, and you also go through that probably a lot more because it's not like boom, studio album out, tour, boom, studio album like how it was back in the day when people were like really consuming albums. Now you're just constantly on call in the sense of it's like a singles world where like you're always looking for that single. So the music, the Fresh Fruit did real well, is still doing well. It's almost at like 600,000 streams, which I think is great. And it got playlisted and it did this and did that. So I think when that came out, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, we out here, baby.
It's about to be easy. Yeah. And like, you know, and it's not, and it won't be. And that's definitely a real good reminder. Because the EP came out afterwards, and the follow-up single didn't do nearly as well as I thought it would, which I still to this day think is a smash. Talk to me, and like, you know, it is interesting because in the singles world, like if a song's in the world, you never know. Like if it's just out in public, like you never really know when it's gonna hit, mm-hmm. which is cool because there are some songs that are now number one on the radio, but came out 4 years ago and then just kind of got dusted off, and then finally
somebody picks it up and they start pushing
and then it gets put on a playlist, and who cares if it's 2 years old because it's a good song. And so I have a lot of faith in that, but that's obviously nothing to bank on. So I think going into it when Carter Reeves was just a concept of who do you want to be, who is Carter Reeves, I think I tried to, and this is funny, I haven't said any of this, so like,
here it is.
Listen up. Like I think I tried too hard, and again, never any regrets, and also all the music that I have out, I love, and I think is really good music. I wouldn't put anything out that like is trash. Granted, people think it's trash. People think it's great.
As long as you think it's dope.
That's gonna happen. But basically, you know, it's this conceptual thing of okay, who is Carter Reeves? What is Carter Reeves? So I started like, you know, looking into my influences. I love Pharrell. I love JT. I love Timbo. I am obsessed with the Chili Peppers. Like Jack Johnson, Sublime. Okay, how do I make that all? Fuck it. I want to be a pop star. Like if I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna go for it. So I want to make massive pop songs, you know, regardless of their personality, regardless of how much they speak from my heart. Like if I think it grooves and it's catchy, boom, let's go. Let's put it out. And so like I have some tracks where I think you can hear there's a little less of my personality in it than others. Maybe that's based on co-writes with people. you know, where you're in a room with a bunch of people and you're maybe compromising yourself because there's more minds to make the most successful song. So you maybe lack a little personality on that sense. And so after putting, I put out the EP and again, it didn't do as well as I thought. But that's fine. To me, the goal was just to have a base of music for people to like fall back on. You hear one song. Oh, cool. Like, cool. That's not just one song that's out. There's 5. Also because you need a live show, and if you have no music, you have no live show.
Yeah, there's a problem.
So I had a ton of fun making the EP, and then I had 2 real great songs for after the EP, which I was like, all right, I'm putting a song out a month. Like, that's the plan. And now it's almost November, and June was the last time I put out a song. So clearly I went through some shit in the sense of trying to figure out what's next. So Aquarium, I think, is hot as fuck. Like production-wise, it is crazy. Vocally, performance-wise, it's crazy. Lyrically, it's not my best work. And I hope that doesn't ruin the song for anyone, me being able to say that. But like, I feel like you need to be able to recognize faults to fix shit. And so to me, it made me question what being a pop star entails, because a lot of people were sending me records that are done and produced and written and recorded, and they just said, do you want to cut this song? Like, do you want to just, you know, delete the vocals and you sing the vocals and then put the song out? And so I think after I put out a pop song, in my eyes, I think Aquarium's definitely a pop song. It's fucking great though. Yeah. I started to question, like, okay, exactly how I want to get there. Do I want to get there by continually putting out these like stadium sounding big pop songs where people who know me don't feel that it's me as much? But eventually, because it's such an appealing sound, enough people will hear it, and that doesn't matter. And they'll jump on it, and I'll get big and start playing in shows and stuff. So I started wanting to bring more personality back into it, the way, you know, because Carter Reeves off the bat to me was, you know, this Miami Vice pop star, you know, all white with the teal V-neck with the man bun, and like, don't get me wrong, like that shit is fly. Like I look like a fucking G in that picture. Like, don't, you know, but you know, making shit that like truly is just like, that's me, like 100%, like, because I'm not this Snapchat guy. I'm not like, you know, I'm not like actively on Instagram all the time. Being able to show you my character, where then you listen to my music and you're like, oh, cool, like his music's dope, but like that's just one part of the character. Like,
there's
a
whole picture. There's a whole picture.
And I want the music to be able to explain enough of who I am, where you listen to the music and you feel like you can get to know me from that. And obviously the Instagram, like, it's cool because like he looks cool in these pictures, but like that's not what's selling. I don't want that to be what's selling my music. I want to be good music selling my music. So I started, like, you know, writing like a bunch of just stuff from like the heart and stuff that I think is more representative of like the early mid-20s identity crisis that a lot of people go through, and like that quarter life crisis that people go through. So that's what I'm super looking forward to, is like I have one song that's done that I think is really rad. It's still, and like none of this is abandoned, and that's all. None of that's to say that the music that I've put out isn't me, because it's all like this like smooth kind of like funky, hip hoppy, jazzy, bluesy, retro, surfy, rock, pop, indie shit. And like that's what I always want to do, and that's what I'm always gonna do. So like all the music that I have out is really dope, and I really like and will always go at bat for. But how can I go even better and personalize it even more, so that second something comes on, you're like, that's a Carter Reeves song. Not that's Carter Reeves singing a pop song, or like that's Carter Reeves singing a song that could be Nick Jonas, could be Shawn Mendes, could be this guy, could be that guy, could be this guy, could be this bike, because there's no personality in the lyrics. You know, it just sounds like a pop song made for the masses. So I think I was shooting to make stadium-sized tracks when I wasn't at a stadium level. You know, I think it's funny too, because I think if some of those tracks were to go out once I'm there, like once I'm at that level, which a couple of years, they'd like, do real well. But I think there was a disconnect between like the guy from Air and then this like super polished Carter Reeves character that like felt like it was just like a big step.
Yeah. It has to be. I mean, you go from literally Air being this huge platform
and very homegrown, organic sounding too.
And then you're going to a completely different name solo act and then trying to create this music.
Right.
So it's just as long as you're confident, it sounds like when you're releasing this music, you're very confident in that moment.
Right.
Looking back, you might say, I don't know if I really feel lyrically right with this, or if this is too early, but if you're feeling comfortable when you're releasing this,
right,
it's just like, that's what, back to being in the moment, like this feels right, I'm gonna release this, and then like readjust as like the time goes on, and having like that JT, like all these influences, you can hear it in the music, which is dope, because I really do think you're going down the right path of creating something that is so Carter Reeves. It's not, oh, he's trying to be like X, Y, and Z. Right. You can hear all these influences like blending into one pot of creating who
and
Carter
that's the
Reeves
goal.
Is.
And that I think has always been the vision, but then like, you can get distracted by shiny things. So yeah, it's interesting because, I just want to like connect with the people again. And I think touring is going to be huge on that. Like once I start touring again, but like connecting with the people and have them listen to the music and be like, this is this guy that I know. Like, this is that shit. Yeah, it's next level. Yeah, it's polished. Yeah, it sounds good. But like, I can tell that it's coming from a place of love versus a place of intention. Yeah. Which I think, I think if you're writing music for the purpose of what it's going to do, then you're not writing music for the right reasons. You should be writing the music that you're like, I don't give a shit if this song gets 2,000 views. I don't give a song 200 or 2 million. Like, I like it. It's an ongoing journal of my life. I fuck with this. I want to put it out because I put energy and time and money into it. So I'm putting it out. And if you like it, dope. If you don't, fine.
So be it.
But I think making music from like that love perspective, sewing everything stitched with love versus like, what you think the song can do. Yeah. Cause that's how the biggest songs become big anyway, is I never expected it. Cause
they're just creating what they think is dope.
Right. Oh, this one? Like, I didn't know the world would take this one and go running with it. But that's how it works. And so just reminding yourself that, and like reminding myself that, sit back, do what feels good, do what feels right.
You know the steps you need to take. You've walked this path before, clearly. You're saying you want to, get to the stadium level. What else are you really aiming for as like Carter Reeves? Like what's fueling you to keep creating the music? Obviously it's the passion, but what do you truly want to see happen as Carter Reeves?
I just want to become a better musician. And it's funny, my friend Alex Billowitz, who is a phenomenal producer and who I've worked with on most of my stuff, he said to me, trends are trends. This is that. Everything comes and goes. But at the end of the day, a piano is a piano, will always be a piano. A guitar is a guitar, will always be a guitar. Your voice is your voice. It'll always be your voice. He didn't say it like that. But like basically what he said is, at the end of the day, you can always sit down behind a piano. Regardless of if you're alone in my house in Maine, regardless of where you are, like that is always going to be there, and you can always lean back on that. A guitar is always going to be there. So that shit is super cool to me, and kind of like gave me a moment where it's like, okay, I want to become a better musician. and like just so that I can have this for myself, and it's gonna translate into my music because I'll be able to write better songs, better chord changes, better melodies, better this, better that, because I'm learning it and I'm putting more into it. So I want to be a better musician. And I know that'll make my live show doper. That'll make all the music better. That'll make like every aspect of what it is better. Because I'll be just having more fun, and it'll be like back on that groove thing, like feel thing. And I think one of the dopest moments was when Air went from a DJ and the two of us to a full band, because I was like, shit, now we can jam from one song into the other, and we can like easily just like change the key. If it's too high for me to sing, we can just play it down. Like, that's dope. Or like, we can do this and we can do that and we can do this. And it's all because of this live element. And I think there's going to be a resurgence of live music. I mean, live music it exists, but like, I think kids who are now 15, 16, 17 are used to seeing some sort of laptop on stage. And granted, like, as a pop artist, you probably need like tracks and you need stuff in the background to fill in that sound and be competitive modern. But like, to be able to just like be on stage with a bunch of players who just love music, and like every night you're just jamming, like, that's the goal.
Yeah. We were just watching a documentary on Justin Timberlake.
Oh, the 2020 experience?
Full band. I mean, every instrument you could possibly imagine.
I need to watch that.
Like,
because I've seen I didn't see that live show, but I saw like videos of that live show, and it's just like,
he is phenomenal.
Right. And like Bruno too, like, he's an unbelievable influence now, like, especially this new wave of Bruno. Like, I do love the neo funky pop shit he's got going on, trappy pop funk. But that band is so tight. Like, and they're bringing music back into the mainstream, like musical shit, like crazy chord changes and like weird ass things where like you hear it and you're like, oh, that sounds like very complex, but it's like he's dumbing it down just enough so that the world will love it. Whereas it's not just like ding 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 ding, you know. So it's finding that balance, and then but like, that's what I'm most looking forward to, is just like connecting on like a musical level with people who love music and playing music, and like, because that'll always be an option, you know. You know, just like when I'm fucking old and brewing my own beer, it's like, oh shit, 7 o'clock, time to go down to the old watering hole and jam with Phil and Regis.
Keep playing.
Regis and Phil. Regis Philbin. I don't know. Yeah, so.
That's dope, man.
Just trying to get good at that shit too.
Some people enjoy living in the same city or going to the same night spots on the weekend. How do you think change helps people grow as a person?
Yeah, it's like getting out of your comfort zone. You said how does
change help people?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like,
it's easy to get very comfortable, right? You're going through the same motions. You live in the same city. You have the same house.
Life goes on, which is a crazy thing. You hear it, you know, and when you're young, you don't even understand what that concept is. And people say like life throws shit at you and like all that stuff. And you're young, you don't really get it. Or like, you know, maybe you go through some shit and you start to understand that concept. But, you know, Air split up. Life goes on. Like, there's still, you still want to be happy. You still got to make money somehow. You got to do this. You got to do that. So I think change is really good to build your character, and also like how you let shit roll off, and also like adapt and change. And you know, Brooklyn was amazing to me, and New York was amazing to me, but I was there for 4 years, and I you know, said, sweet, I'm young. I'm in my 20s. Like, what other time, you know, what better time to go and try a new place is it than like move to LA? Let's do it. You know, obviously it's not too gung ho. I'm not moving to Bangkok, but like, you know, it's cool. And I think that's like so helpful. And it's funny. I remember my dad being like, it's like a big step, man. Like, it's a big step. Like, that's like, it's brave. Like, that takes some shit. And then like, naturally, because at this point, like, I lived in Costa Rica, I did this, I did that, like, doesn't feel so daunting to me anymore, but I can understand how for a lot of people it does. And so just like and I have some friends who kind of like, you know, go through tough times where it's like they feel stuck and feel like, you know, life in Boston is the only life that there is in the world. And it's like, you got $100, get on a train, like go. There are always options, and to remember that, I think is super, is helpful.
Yeah.
And it's obviously easier said than done.
Yeah.
But
I think the move to LA for you, instance, it's a whole new chapter for you, but you still have this vision of what you're trying to do.
Right.
So if anything, it's just gonna add something new to obviously the world. I mean, being in LA versus New York is two different worlds.
Right.
So I've been here for 4 years. I've seen what I've been able to create. Let's see how LA could possibly change it up a little bit.
Exactly. And cool thing is, like, I've got my New York friends, and I've got the people that I love in New York, and people who I'll always see when I go back. But can't get too comfortable. Can't sit down too long. And I'm actually being a basic B. I'm reading On the Road by Jack Kerouac, which is like started like a lot of that like Beat Generation, and which turned into like the hippie movement, all that shit. But like it's basically just the concept of like you're on the road, shit gets weird, get back on the road, like and so applying that to life is cool, because no one's saying I have to stay in LA for the rest of my life. Like, I'm here right now, make the most of it, meet people, meet new friends, try and evolve.
Yeah.
And then if the second it turns on me, or like it starts to feel weird, get out, you know, like just keep it moving.
Yeah. What do you think is the best way for people to get inspired?
So I was watching that the Abstract, the Netflix, and so there was the one on Tinker Hatfield, the Nike designer, and he was like, it's funny because I'm trying to find a balance between what he said and then classic inspiration, but basically he said something like, yeah, inspiration is this thing that comes to you at random times, but if you're not setting yourself up to be inspired, then it's never going to come. So he was like, I sit behind a desk for a couple hours a day and just try. Like, maybe you're not feeling inspired, but like if you're at least opening up the possibility for something random to start, then that's what inspiration is. You can't just like, wake up and be like, I don't feel inspired today, so I'm not going to do anything all day. So I think there's a balance between that kind of concept of like, you need to treat inspiration like a job at the end of the day. Like, if you're not sitting and focused and trying to whatever your goal is, then, it's, a hit song very well may come to you in your dream, like every now and then, but like, it's much more likely to come to you if you sit down and say, let's write a song. So it's finding that balance, but then it's also not denying inspiration when it does come. Yeah. Because, I'll be trying to fall asleep. It'll be 11 o'clock and I'll have this line in my head and I'll be like, oh, I'll remember it in the morning. You never remember it in the morning. So it's like, don't be an idiot. Get up, deprive yourself of 5 more minutes of sleep. Get up, write it down, and shit, if you're still thinking of good ideas, then who cares if you wake up an hour later tomorrow? It's like, that song could feed you for the rest of your life, so you can't push that away. But then in like a more tangible thing, like if for me, whenever I feel just kind of like monotonous shit, I'll travel somewhere or try to, even if it's as easy as like go for a hike, like that still counts to me as like enough of a traveling thing where it's like, I'm not doing what I just do every day.
It's opening up your mind a little bit differently.
Yeah, but like, I find like international travel, if you have the means to do it, is like,
that's perspective.
By
That'll really
far,
open up.
like, because I did, and Europe's not like some crazy frontier, but like I did Europe alone a few summers ago. Like I think I was 18 actually. Yeah, it was actually it was 19. After Air toured Europe, they all flew home and I stayed. And I just like bopped around a little bit. I met up with my cousin in Madrid. But I remember being in Barcelona in a youth hostel, and I was alone. And but in that's being out of your comfort zone in the sense of, I'm sitting at the bar alone, and here's a guy who's also alone. Start talking, Danish dude, traveling for the past like 8 months. Like, wow. We start talking. We're like, well, let's try and meet some girls, right? Yeah. And so like, 2 Australian chicks come in, start talking, say what's up, like talk. It's just like that spontaneity and that like that mindset of like, I'm never gonna see these people again, like, or I may never see these people again. So like you let go of all your like, cares and like social, like, oh, who, this is that and this is how you act and all this shit, and you're just there like connecting with people. I've always tried to bring that attitude home to like New York, when I was living in New York, and here in LA. It's like, it's funny that if you visit a place, like for example, if I'm from Boston and then I'm in LA for a week, you're so much more gung-ho. You're like, yo, what up? Like, and I'm not saying like being thirsty or being like over the top or anything, but like, you're just like, hey, what's up? Like, how are you? Like friendly, out there, like not caring, like I'll never see these people again, and like da-da-da, which I think you should always try and have that mentality, because if you then like go, but then if you live there, you're like, oh, well, this is my home now. So like, oh, like I don't want to
keep doors closed and do what I need to do.
Right. And that's just like stupid, because it's like, the people who succeed best in life are like the people who always have a smile on their face and like are out there, like just, they don't care what you think of them, or they don't care what someone thinks of them. It's just like, you're just trying to connect on some shit, like human shit. But
one important thing I don't want to get overlooked that you said is that, sometimes you'll get those moments of you're inspired and you pick up, start recording and you record something dope.
Right.
But then there's those moments of really, you need to just show up and put yourself in the studio, lock the door, put your phone down, and just
100%.
sit and focus. Because there are times when I don't want to edit a podcast because I want to go out to the beach, or there's so many other things that I don't necessarily want to do. And then I force myself to sit. And once the energy gets flowing, it's like a domino effect. You just get into it and you're like, wait, 2 hours ago I didn't want to do this, and now I'm fully all in.
Right.
So sometimes it's just showing up and actually putting yourself in that environment to do it. What does your day-to-day schedule look like? Do you just are you a morning person? You wake up and you want to get things done first?
Yeah. So I used to not be a morning person at all. Like when I was living in Brooklyn, I'd be up at like 10:30, and like, 10:30, like, and generally I'd, try and go to the gym, this and that. I had my appendix taken out in April. So that like fucked up all routine that I had, because not only are you spending, a week and a half sitting on your couch high as fuck on drugs, like can't really walk, can't eat the right shit. So that threw everything off, and I had a lot of trouble getting back into like, and then the summer came, and I spent a lot of time up at my parents' house. And so everything was just, and then I was moving to LA. That was stressing me out. So August 1st, I got here, stumbled a little bit, like getting back into the swing of things. Cause it's easy to be like, oh, well, like, just moved here. So like, I still gotta like get the apartment ready. Like, still gotta like make it feel like home. But, I'd say about like maybe 2 months ago, I was finally like, all right, like I'm here for a reason. Let's get it going. So daily routine, I've started getting up at 6, which is like fucking great. Like I mean, like, I could have never believed that I'd be doing that, but like, so for the past like month and a half, I've been up at 6, which is dope, because the sun isn't even up and no one's awake, and if I don't go to the gym within the first couple hours of my day, I'm not going to go. And then I'm going to have this negativity nagging the back of my head. Like,
should have went.
You should have done something, or like, like, damn, you wasted this day. So getting up at 6 gives me the freedom to like be back at home, like ready to start my day by like 9 a.m., which is fucking dope. And so, I've been doing a lot of like, like basic music stuff, like music theory stuff, like learning scales and that stuff. And then I'll, do half hour, like actually playing the guitar, half hour playing the piano. And then I let that kind of open me into whatever I'm feeling for the next couple hours. So it's basically like, I'm just practicing guitar, but ooh, that kind of sounded cool. So I'll kind of like roll with that a little bit. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not practicing my scales anymore, like, which is what I set out to do, but that's fine because I came up with a really cool riff. Kind of start feeling that out, or maybe I'm playing something on the keys and it makes me feel some type of way. And so then like words kind of start. And so I'm just trying to like write songs right now, because I spent too much time just like putting a beat on loop. And obviously that process works for a lot of people and stuff, but you hear some songs where you're just like, how is this so effortless and perfect and well done? Like the Beatles kind of like showed me that type of shit. And it's just like, you got to get that like 3 minutes of perfection. So I've started just to write songs before I even produce them, because I love producing, I think, more than I like writing, which is funny because I'm not great at producing. And I need to be better at writing. So it's like I should be switching my focus. But so like I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna write an entire song, like 2 verses, chorus, pre-chorus, bridge, like, you know, whatever the structure is. I'm gonna try and write an entire song solely on the guitar, like not putting anything down, just like literally creating it here, or like solely on the keys. And then I can go have fun with the production later, because the hard part is done. I know what I'm going to say. I know what it's about. And then I can like have everything match what the vibe of the lyrics are. And it goes vice versa too, where like I'll be really feeling like a musical idea and then need to write on top. But my mom said to me the other day, finish it wrong, which I really like, because it's just like, finish it wrong. Like, you think about it, because yeah, you can write a really dope verse, or you can write like a really dope hook. But then if you dwell on that hook and you're like just singing it all the time and you're like, this is such a good hook, this is so good, and you listen to it a million times, then at that point it already becomes a song, you know, and I've heard it a million, and you kind of start to get tired of it, and then you can't get back in the headspace of where you were when you were writing that song. So it's like, okay, you hear one verse that's like amazing and like sounds effortless, but then the second one, it sounds like he's trying so hard, and also it's like so different from the first. Like, what is that? It's like, yeah, because I wrote them 8 months apart.
Yeah.
Because I finally was like, all right, I have to finish this song. And I still do that with so much music. And like, I'll have, you know, the song that's coming out later is like a collage of the past 9 months. I wrote the initial guitar part, and then I wrote the first verse and the hook, and then I was producing it with my boy Miggs, and he was like, let's double time the drums here. And I was like, oh, so this is now a whole new part that happened like, you know, 6 months after the actual song was written. And then I was like, all right, well, I still need to write a bridge. And I did that a couple weeks ago. And it's just like, granted, it's a great song. And I think your song needs to go through so many forms before it's like, okay, this is great. But at the same time, finish it wrong. Like, if you're putting something down, you can always edit.
Yeah, you can always go back to it.
You can always go back, and so finish it wrong's dope, because it's just like, all right, well, I at least have something to work with that I wrote in that time, and I can edit it to make it better now. But the meat is there, the bulk is done, the legwork is done, and now I get to edit it, which I have so much more fun editing something that's already there than trying to create within confines.
It's like they say with ideas, just write it down and come back to it later. You think of it now, you might forget about it later. It's just like when you say when you're about to fall asleep and you have this idea and I'll just do it in the morning. Well, in the morning you might not have that same idea. So
exactly.
Actually write it down, or just at least get something in motion so that you can come back to it and kind of see how it goes. But
if it's there, then like, you know, you don't unwrite, you know, you can't, like, unless, you know, you're not destroying something. Like, you don't unwrite something. If the thought is on paper, it'll always be on paper, and then you can do whatever you want with it. You can crumple it up and throw it out, sure, but
it's always there.
Yeah.
What do you think Carter Reeves' purpose is?
Ooh, damn, the purpose of the youth. The hard-hitting question.
The hard-hitting question.
It's funny because I in my bio, actually, which is written by this great writer who like writes for the New York Times, who's a friend of a friend. So she wrote my bio. I think she said something like, Carter Reeves offers oblivion, not catharsis, and I had to Google what both those words meant. And I still don't really understand, but I get. I
don't need to sitting here like, what?
Basically, like, I'm offering, like, I want to be a means of forgetting. Like, I want to make people happy, is what I want to do. Because I'm a happy person. I think people see me and want to be happy with me, and like, especially on stage, like, I'm energetic, I'm having fun, clearly, and I want people to feel that too. And it's cool what, like, I've heard from certain Air fans where, like, we've really impacted their lives in like, really going through tough times were like some of the darkest periods of my life, and like your upbeat energy helped to make that better for me. And so for me, like this happiness has kind of always been effortless, and I'm very thankful that like I'm a happy person, but I want to hopefully give that glimpse to other people, and regardless of the scale it's on, I think what bothers me too about the state of pop music is like it's all minor. It's all sad. Like everything sad boys are cool these days. And honestly, like, fuck that. Like, I get it. Like, I get the appeal. Like, I like the like sexy, smoky, dark shit. I get it. And I like it. But it's all so dark. Like, why are we like training an entire generation of kids to think that like darkness is great? And like, I mean, there's art in there, and like there's pain and there's struggle. And I think people really connect with that. But I think there's a flip side to it where like you can offer a product and music and a vibe and an energy that is the opposite of that makes you feel good, versus makes you like wallow and reflect on what it is.
You're still in that state of mind.
Yeah,
it's
and
almost like coping you because you're in that dark spot, and it's
exactly.
like the music just keeps you there and keeps you there.
And it's interesting because it goes both ways, because I never listen to like screamy dark shit like rock. I can't get down with that, and like I respect, like I have friends who are in bands like that, and like my best friend like loves that type of shit, and I've always wanted to know why, and I think the answer is because like it's reassuring hearing someone going through something that you're going through, and so maybe it's naive of me to think that I can just like shove happiness down people's throats, but at the same time, whenever I was feeling down or like feeling like caught up or feeling weird, Bob Marley and Sublime, they'd bring me to a spot where like I could reflect on the sunniness and kind of like see the bright side in life, and no pun intended. But so like I want to offer that to people, like, and again, like I don't want to shove it down your throat. Like I don't, I don't want to like try and turn the tides of pop music to be like happy. It is what it is, and it's gonna be what it is. But like, it's so cool to me that Pharrell can put a song out called Happy, and like it's a global success because it's focusing on the positivity, the unity, and the respect and the love, versus like and no disrespect to Logic, because I think that song he has, the Suicide Hotline song, is a powerful song, and it's doing well, and it's, like I said, it's powerful, and I think it's shedding light on something that really needs
to be talked
about. But with that being said, like the fact that like suicide was a trend of 2017, like with that 13 Reasons Why show, and just like it's just kind of like I just want to offer.
Why are we still glamorizing? I
want to offer an alternative. Yeah. Is really it. Just like there's happiness out there too, and try and focus on that.
I love it. Before we get into the closing questions, this is when I reverse the role. I
allow
my guests to ask me any one question. Could be about something.
Any one question?
Any one question. If you have two questions, sure, but usually just one question. Could be about anything we've talked about, something you want to know. Any one question or two, no matter.
Yeah. Okay. If this has been asked, then I'll ask another one.
Okay.
But dead or alive, spanning like, well, shit, that's really opening it up. But like, yeah, dead or alive, spanning like, any industry, like who do you think your best podcast and probably most like potentially influential podcast could be or would be? Who would like who would you naturally like be most interested to interview like this
that I haven't had on the podcast?
Dude, dead or alive.
Oh, dead or alive.
Hitler, Gandhi.
Wow.
Like, I mean, within reason. Don't throw out like Gandhi, because like
that's like an easy.
Because obviously that would be amazingly inspiring and popping.
I mean, honestly,
like someone who's always been sticking out for you.
I mean, for me personally, and a lot of people that hear this might not even know who he is, and maybe they do, but the whole reason I got into podcasting was a guy named Lewis Howes.
Cool.
He runs a podcast called The School of Greatness. He's based here in West Hollywood.
Oh, you were talking about that, yeah.
He is the sole reason I ended up getting into podcasting. Like, I had heard a little bit of podcasting previously, but he was like, I had heard his podcast, and I was like, yo, this is so dope. this is something I could create, but in my own world. And that's partially why I want to, like, if there's anybody right now dead or alive, it would be him, just because I wouldn't be here with this podcast if it wasn't for him. But I also think his story is just very powerful, just the way he was raised. And I suggest anybody that listens to podcasts, I don't want to get into it, but if you listen to podcasts and you like this whole positive and kind of trying to feed your brain really helpful stuff, he does a great job of it. He brings on amazing guests. They break down like certain subjects related to that guest and from all different industries. But he just has such a positive outlook on life, and he's very open about the way he was raised and certain struggles that he went through. But like I said, it's just somebody that, you know, I credit just like his content has gotten me to open this, to start this. And to me, that's always going to be, you know, he's not the biggest person in the world. He's not the president. He's not, you know, Bon Jovi or anything like that. But to me personally, he means so much because I don't even listen to his podcast as often as I used to when I wasn't doing my own podcast. But I still see his, you know, social media posts and just the stuff he's putting out into the world, and it's inspiring to me. And it's like, okay, he continuously just keeps on chugging, and he's
the catalyst.
He's fueling me to keep going.
That's my Anthony Kiedis.
See?
Yeah.
And sometimes all you need is that one person that can inspire you to keep pushing along in your industry, or maybe that's not even in your industry. But it's somebody you look at and you're like, okay, they started at ground zero as nobody, and now they have this amazing platform. How did they get there? And it's always the one thing: they put in the work.
Right.
I mean,
you
can sit here all day and say they got lucky or this or that. If they got lucky and on their 5th song or their 10th podcast they blew up, well, they wouldn't have blown up if they hadn't take those initial steps to put in the work.
Right.
So he's like the true inspiration, and I've so much wanted to just like shoot him a DM on Instagram, like, yo, I'm in LA now. I do this dope podcast.
Yeah, he's down the street.
But I also kind of want to just wait until the moment is right. You know, I'm only getting better as a podcaster as I grow.
Right.
And I really feel, and I'm so happy this was a question because I'm documenting me saying this, but I really feel that sometime in the next 6 months to a year, I'm actually going to be in a room with him for whatever reason and be able to have a conversation of, like, you have impacted me so much. Instead of trying to reach out and ask for this favor, come on to my podcast, I want it to be timing.
A mutual. Yeah.
We're in the right place at the right time, and I can tell you exactly my story.
I couldn't agree more with, like, the value of that, too.
Yeah.
Like, sitting back and being like, yeah, because first impressions are important. And, like, you know, you don't want to chase something and be thirsty over something. And, like, and yeah, just kind of like have it be a mutual admiration thing.
Just letting it wait. It's like letting it ferment. Like you said with the music, you're like making these songs or putting, you know, the pieces of the puzzle together, but you're not forcing yourself. I need to finish this. I need to finish this. Same thing. Just kind of wait. When's the time going to be right? And when it happens, it'll be absolutely beautiful.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm like super stoked to get on.
Dope.
It will happen.
I got to listen to School of Greatness. That's awesome.
School of Greatness. Okay. Absolutely amazing podcast. Closing questions.
Yes.
I want you to imagine there's a picture frame on the wall somewhere in this beautiful spot. 10 years from now, what and who do we see within the picture frame with you?
Oh, it's me and someone?
Yep. You and a group of people. What's the landscape? Where's the picture taken? Where do we see you in 10 years from now?
Definitely just me and Pharrell. Like,
yeah. In Maine?
In Maine. In my studio in Maine. Yeah, there it is. That'd be fucking rad. Yeah, I mean, what I also love about Pharrell too is like he has fun, man. Like that guy, he's still working with young people. He's not like closed off. He's not some like mega like. I mean, he's a mega fucking superstar. But I mean, like he's got his ear to the ground. He's still working with young people who he thinks got some potential and stuff. So hopefully it'll happen one day.
That's dope.
I mean, I think he'll hear the sound and be like, "Oh, you're really biting my shit here, buddy." And I'm like, "No, let's just work together, though. Come on, man. We can make amazing shit." Yeah, so we'll see.
That's dope.
I actually heard, I think, on that podcast I was telling you about. Yeah, he only works like from like 5 a.m. to like 9, because he's got a family now. Yeah, a.m. because he's got like triplets. So he's like, so he's like, yeah, if you want to come to the studio, you have to be there at like 5 a.m. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. I'll get up. You already get up at 6. Crank it back an hour. You already be there.
So yeah, I mean, Pharrell, he's the GOAT, man. Like always. Yeah.
He's dope. Where can people find you on social media?
At Carter Reeves. Carter Reeves. R-E-E-V-E-S. Yeah. I mean, Instagram, Spotify, Facebook, YouTube.
Everywhere.
The whole nine.
Yeah, keep it easy. Nice Carter Reeves
Carter
across
Reeves,
the board.
yeah.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
Somebody's listening and doesn't know what their passion is or what their purpose is. What 2 to 3 pieces of advice would you give to them to trying to find it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a balance between what you're naturally good at, but also putting yourself in positions to try different things. But at the end of it all, it should all be based in enjoyment. Do you enjoy it? Then other aspects surrounding that will come in that you may not enjoy, but you need to do in order to get there. For example, like I don't like doing scales on a piano, but I know that I have to do that in order to become a player that I will enjoy playing. So it's being open to trying anything. Get on a surfboard if that's that's great and you enjoy it, and shit, maybe you're really good and spend some time doing that, and you could potentially be great. Just don't put any boundaries on what you can and can't do. Write poetry, write a journal. I would actually encourage anyone to keep a journal. I've had one for the past like 8 years, and it's really dope because I've got all of Air's ups and downs in it. And that's super helpful because you can look back and be like, oh, wow, I really thought I was going to be a pro skateboarder then. Like, that's funny how that panned out. But you can learn from that and knock another thing on the list that maybe you can take your time and to focus elsewhere. I would just, which I think everyone has a little bit of a problem with, and I've always had trouble doing, but like see it through. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, do it. Unless like you're truly agonizing yourself like while doing it. But I think finishing something, regardless of what it is, I'm going to, write a song a day. I'm going to go surfing once a week. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. If you actually do it, you are going through it and realizing on the other side, can then make the judgment. You can't make a fair judgment on something before you've lived through every aspect of it. And like a weird quick example is like my friend moved somewhere to be with a girl that he saw potential in a relationship. And I respected that so much because you can easily stay where you are and say, close that door. But I think the fact that there's potential and then it was seen through, and then you can make the decision after it's actually gone through. It's so much better than sitting and never knowing what could have happened. So you want to write a book, because if it's trash at the end of it, that's fine. But you wrote a book and you realize that I didn't enjoy that, or do it, but just see it through. Yeah. And that's all it is. Just see it through, because then on the other side you can really judge it on if it worked or not.
Carter Reeves.
Hey,
thank you for coming on the podcast, man.
Bobbbaaaay. Appreciate it, bro.
You know it. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. If you could leave a 1-sentence review in the comment section below about what you'd like to see in the future, that would be awesome. And if you really want to make me happy, please subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date when Bobbbaaaay drops a new video. We'll catch you guys next time.